I'm Rachel.
And I'm Hannah.
And this is You Talking to Me podcast.
Today, welcome back, folks. We are talking about the movie called Candy Jar. It is on Netflix. It is a Netflix movie, correct?
Yes, it's a Netflix original.
Brief interview of this movie for anyone who hasn't seen it, or for those of you that have.
Yeah, just a quick recap.
It's about two high school students on a debate team who don't like each other. I mean,
they're like the only members also of this debate team for some reason. They go to a prep school, like a very fancy private school, and they're the only two people going to debate club.
Yeah,
Whatever.
which, I don't know, who knows? But I will say, their school looks so nice. Like, I was like, can I go there? I just want to see this building. It is like a stone structure.
It's like a campus, too. There's like different buildings, which is common for private schools in Georgia, actually, which is where this takes place. Yeah.
Oh, see, I don't know what private school is like, and I also
Same.
What Georgia's like, so.
I work at a Christian school in Savannah, actually, and they have like multiple buildings on a campus for like the different age levels for one, but also like just different buildings. And my boyfriend went to a different private Christian school, and it's like, it feels like you're at college.
Okay, so that's how it is. Apparently that's not weird. I thought
they just got a lot of money for some of their schools. They also are pretty low in public school education.
But they didn't have uniforms, did they?
No, they definitely did.
Are you sure?
Yeah, but I don't think they had to wear them to the competitions, which is where most of the movie takes place, is like at competitions.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they were wearing uniforms.
I just remember her mom bashing the way she dresses.
So yeah, like this movie. So this movie is about these two students, the only two people on the debate team at the most fancy private school you've ever heard of, and they both I don't remember how they have to be debate partners because because their moms got in a huge fight at a debate tournament. And they both got like disqualified. They were co-winners of this big fancy qualifying competition to get to state or something. Yep. And they both got disqualified because their moms hate each other and got in a fight, like argument, I suppose. They weren't like throwing hands, but they got in this huge argument that disqualified both of the kids from qualifying. So they were forced to be partners because apparently doubles debate wasn't all finished being qualified yet.
Yeah, that was kind of like weird, but the two characters are Lona and Bennett. Bennett wants to go to Yale and Lona wants to go to Harvard, and Lona's mom is named Amy and Bennett's mom is named Julia. And Julia and Amy do not like each other. It seems like they have been going at it since high school, like they're high school rivals.
Yeah, and Amy won student body president or something.
She was a cheerleader.
As a cheerleader, which, instead of the big fancy smart girl on campus winning, which was fancy. And Bennett's family is black and Lona's family is white, which is important for some things that I have to talk about later, but that's just putting that out there for now.
Yeah, and should we talk about how one family's poor and one's rich?
Yes, Lona's family is poor, and Bennett's mom is like a senator, and they're very wealthy.
And the actress who plays her, we love her. It's Crazy Eyes from Orange is the New Black.
Oh, okay, I was like, I don't know who that is.
She came on screen, and I was like...
Amy is apparently in Mad Men, which I also did not know.
Oh, and Julia, Bennett's mom, went to Yale. And so I don't know if it's her dream or his dream or a combination of the two that he wants to go to Yale, but...
Yeah, it's very odd, but it's very common for, like, legacy kids to, like...
want to go
where their parents went. Exactly, especially if college is, like, this huge thing in the family and, like tradition and stuff.
I want to know did I just have a not normal take on college? Were you feeling like that in high school? Were you like, this is the college I'm going to, I need to do this for college and get this for my application?
No, but I also wasn't. I would need to talk to. I should have talked to my sister about this. She should have been on this podcast because she applied for Yale and Princeton, and I don't know if she was feeling all this type of way and like being stressed and trying, but like she was in multiple activities as a high schooler, not just
She was
speech and
on
debate.
debate. Yeah.
So she did speech and debate. She did cross country and track. She was in theater, and so no wonder like these kids are stressing out about their application because it seems like they only got debate on their
Where's your
application.
boyfriend?
My boyfriend is trying to get into Notre Dame, and he's wanted to go to Notre Dame ever since he was like 5 years old. Like
Okay, so
for
that's
real.
like a thing like some people really do. Like I didn't know like Rory and Gilmore Girls, she always wants to go to Yale. She's Yale, right? Or is she Harvard?
I don't know. I didn't watch Gilmore
I'm pretty
Girls.
sure it's Yale. Like I'm 99% positive it's Yale.
Look, we're just here to give our opinions. We're not professionals here.
Yes. But so that was like my first thing. I was like, is this normal? Do kids actually care this much about college?
They do. Some do. It really depends on if you have a strong tie there, if that's your parents' only personality trait in some cases, is that they graduated from like UT or something like crazy, you know? Or
Right.
if I don't really know exactly. Like I know one of Jack's sisters went to Notre Dame, and I don't know if it was like ever since he stepped foot on Notre Dame, he wanted to go there. Ever since he watched a football game, he loves their football team. I know that was a big deal. And like we just actually watched Rudy last night, which is about a guy who was a walk on Notre Dame's football team and literally was only on the practice team for 2 years that he was there and dressed for one game for one play and is like this famous guy that was on the team. Like it's crazy.
Okay.
But he has wanted to go ever since he was a kid. Like if there's some strong connection to like one particular part of campus or the college, I can understand it. I went to the University of North Dakota. Nobody is excited to go to this school. Nobody is dreaming about it their whole life, I promise, unless you're a hockey
For
player maybe.
aviation, maybe.
Aviation and hockey probably are the only times people are like, I'm gonna go to UND, mom, when I get older.
Yeah, because I went there and I dropped out real quick.
And both your parents went there, didn't they?
Yes, and my grandpa I think was the first because he had like a sixth grade education and then he took a GED and then he went to college at UND when it was like first beginning, maybe not right when it was beginning, I don't know when UND was founded, and then
UND was founded in like the 1800s.
so not right when it was beginning because
Just kidding.
he was not that old.
But it was probably like when it was really forming into its own.
Right.
In the olden
And my
days.
brother went there, and I don't know how many other family members went there, but I know that it's like a family school. I never wanted to go to UND, but it was like you go here, you can go for free, or you go someplace else, and anything that's not covered by scholarships, you have to pay for. And I was like, I'll go to UND.
Yeah, no, I get that. My mom works there and my dad went there. And I mostly went there to get my portfolio ready and stuff because I knew I wanted to go into film school for something, but I had
Right.
like zero preparation. I live in North Dakota. They don't care about the arts that much.
Okay, so switching back to this movie. So, like we said, the brief overview is that it's two high school students who are on a debate team. They're the only ones. Their debate coach, is that what it would be called? Teacher?
Yeah,
I don't know. He really loves movie quotes.
it
Had
was
to put
so
that out
funny.
there.
One of the quotes was actually a Rudy quote.
Oh, really?
Like when he was like, "You're 5 foot nothing,
Oh,
no
yes.
athletic abilities." It's so funny. And then we watched it yesterday, and I was like, "I remember this quote." It's a very good quote, actually. I liked it.
The one that stuck in my head was when he was quoting Fight Club. I've never seen Fight Club, but I knew the quote from Fight
Oh
Club.
yeah,
So.
it was very funny.
The one thing I want to say is they're in a principal's office and they're arguing over like who's going to be president of this debate team. But the important thing to note here is what Lona is saying about Bennett. She's looking at him and there's an inner dialogue or monologue
Mm-hmm.
happening and she's saying, oh, look at him, he's so smug, he thinks that he's going to be president, or something along the lines of that. And this speech comes into play again later, but I don't know if you
Yeah,
noticed
it's
that.
very good. They're good at bookending this thing.
Yes,
It's a
that's
very circular movie, and they cannot stand each other. Like,
mm-mm.
they both, like, one will suggest one thing, and the other one will be like, no, that's stupid. How dare you? And they, like, don't know who's going to talk when, blah, blah, blah. And eventually, like, they start connecting. It's very cute, and they, like, figure it out on how it's going to end up working. And there's, like, this cute cookie scene where, like, they eat cookies together, and, like, they keep going over to Lona's house, which is kind of a shock because she's poor, and,
Yeah,
like, it's kind
Bennett
of
goes over to
embarrassing
Lona.
for Mr. Millionaire to, like, be over there, and the mom doesn't know how to react to, like, him being there, and it's just kind of, like, funny to see them interact with each other. But they do make it to the final, like, state championship in doubles debate, which is, like, the big
Uh,
final scene.
that was the other thing I was gonna ask about the debates. I'm not kidding. These people are like, so today we're debating this, blah, 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 blah.
That is my biggest complaint. We have to go into it. Okay, as a writer, watching this, and first things first, in this movie, they have it stated that in high school debate, tell us if we're wrong and it has changed in the last 2 years for some reason, but
I never debated, so I
I
don't know.
looked it up, like, how debate works, not just in college, but in high school. Like, I looked up a high school regimen or whatever on, like, breaking it down for new students. In the movie, they say that each side has 8 minutes to defend their side, affirmative or negative. Okay.
After Meg.
Ugh. And it is okay. They also, real quick, they bring in these two dummy twins into the
Yeah.
debate team, and they
It's
are
identical twins.
they're only there. Their only purpose in the entire movie is to be dumb so that Lona and Bennett can tell them how debate works, because they're really the audience in
Yeah,
this
because they're
situation,
explaining it to the audience. Yeah, you're right.
because we don't understand, and they needed to bring in characters. Literally, these characters disappear halfway through the movie
They
because
do
they
come back.
don't them anymore. They do come back in the end when, for some reason, everyone's like, we want to be in debate now. Anyway.
But I literally wrote down when they started debating, I was like, lots of fast-paced speaking and shouting.
Yeah,
Why?
and they say that they are talking that fast because they only have 8 minutes to say their side. And because you only have 8 minutes now, you have to talk as fast as you can to, one, get all of your points in, and two, to say so many points that it confuses the other person so that they cannot respond to all of your points. Okay?
Yeah.
That is not how debate works. It is literally the most confusing thing, okay? It's a complicated, confusing process that is like a half hour each side, okay? Because it goes back and forth. There's opening statements, there's cross-examinations, there's rebuttals, summary statements, etc. There's preparation time in between some of these rounds, and it's like an hour long for each debate to go on. And yes, this is for high school. So, like, my thing is they could have written about anything, but they chose debate for some reason. And they were like, okay, we're going to change how it works, though, to make it more interesting for the movie, which I'm going to argue that it was way less interesting because, one, you can't understand a single thing they're saying.
Not a single thing.
And two, it is not fun to listen to people literally being like, why do you think this is happening? It's because this is happening because I'm decided that this is the... And that is not even an exaggeration of how fast they are talking. It's probably slower than they are talking.
Oh, for sure. Because they were saying, didn't they say how many words per minute they were trying to get?
Yeah, some guy was like, I could say 400 words per minute. And I was like,
yeah, what a good goal to have, people, because you can't understand a single one.
They debate the same topic at every single debate in this movie. It is whether or not college is too expensive or something.
Or like tuition or like being able to get in. Yeah.
Yeah, and so they debate the same exact topic. And I'm just going to say it. That is, I think, in this movie, the reason they did that is because the writer was lazy. Okay? I think the writer was lazy. I know that's a hot take. Because one, he probably couldn't come up with enough interesting things to say for a big moment.
Yeah.
And two, he couldn't come up with multiple throughout the movie because there's multiple debate
Scenes.
scenes. Yeah, there's a bunch of matches within the movie. And he did not want to come up with multiple arguments throughout the thing.
Well, because you
Again, to
can't fit
my
that many words into a tiny argument.
why make it about debate if you can't say the like enough stuff about the thing you're talking about? And it made sense. The argument they were making about college being expensive fed into the overall like story arcs of these characters only if you paused and like read
Yeah.
some of the lines, because sometimes they put the words like behind the characters like for cinematic reasons and editing, and it was cool, and I was happy I could understand those like 7 words that they said during that time.
Yeah.
But it was just like harmful to listen to them say
Yes,
something.
I literally turned on subtitles to see if it would tell me what they were saying, and it said inaudible talking. Or not inaudible. Is that the word? I think it did say audible,
Or
even
yeah.
though you could hear it, but you just couldn't understand what the heck they were saying.
Oh my gosh, what
Mm.
did you think about Jasmine's
Okay, so we'll tell you,
speeches?
Jasmine. So everyone and their mother is debating like, and then here comes Jasmine. She's the girl from a different school
Yeah, not
that,
a prep school, she's from
right,
like a public
public
school.
school. Ooh, a public school. And it
Ew,
seems like it's kind of a
disgusting.
poor public school too. And so she comes in and she starts talking slow and she makes it personal. Everyone else is doing a speech strictly on facts. It
Mm.
doesn't matter if they've been affected by this, which let's be honest, none of them have been. I mean, maybe Lona. Lona
Yeah.
has because Lona's poor, but like Bennett and a bunch of these other rich prep kids are not affected by the cost of tuition. And Jasmine makes it personal. She's talking slow and saying how like people can't afford to go to school and how their parents are working like 5 jobs just to get by. And so I liked that they brought that aspect in because then one, you can understand what at least one person was saying. And two, I felt like in a debate, I did one debate in high school. It was in our speech class, we had to do a debate. And I mean, for us, that is how we were talking. And I guess we were obviously still sticking to facts, but if you brought in something personal, then, you know, that sort of helps tie in the story or whatever. I do think a debate needs to be off of facts because it can't just be off of feelings.
Yeah, they made the point of like you can't debate feelings. So they
Yeah.
were going to try and negate her argument altogether by saying, you know, this is not going with the structure of how debate works. But I wish they had spent a little bit more time writing out Jasmine and her partner's debate points, because a lot of the time it was very personal, but it didn't draw on my heartstrings or make me feel bad for them
Right.
or make me want to root for them at any point, because they were like, let me tell you a story. We're poor. Why are you making college so expensive? You know what I mean? Like, it
Right.
wasn't that blunt, but it was, they didn't go into the emotional aspect of it enough. And I think they really just needed, I don't know if the guy rushed writing the script or what happened, but he was very focused on Lona and Bennett's relationship and was trying to slowly make Jasmine and her partner the better team or the team to beat, but didn't spend enough time, I think, editing and going through her speeches and really just like pounding them in and making sure that they were nice and crisp and just very, very strong.
And I will say this movie was an hour and 45 minutes long. Was it me or did it feel longer?
Some of it, I think, literally because you like drown out when they're talking as fast as humanly possible.
Yeah.
That was so hard. We're gonna pound that note to the death because
Yeah.
it
It was
was the most
terrible.
irritating part of the movie.
And then the level, like the audio level was louder then too, wasn't it? Or was that just
Mm-hmm.
me?
Well, especially Bennett was just very loud when he's talking that fast. He can't talk that fast quietly.
Correct. Oh, and I guess something to note. So then they're at this debate. They're at state qualifiers. So then they both lose. And they both go to their, is she called a guidance counselor?
Yes. Oh my
Her
gosh.
name is Kathy, and her whole office is filled with candy. It's like you walked into Candyland, people.
For sure. Like every single inch of her office is a jar of candy. Hence the name.
And they all just like shove their hands in jars and are eating candy, and I'm like getting triggered because I'm like, ew, there's germs, and are your hands clean? And whose hands have been in this jar? And oh my god, it's nasty. I can't. Like, did that not trigger you at all? Because I was seriously like, ew, 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 ew.
I figured they were like the only people who ever go and see their guidance counselor, so I was like, whatever. But yeah, none of the candy was even wrapped like in the jars. Like I swear she could have a whole Hershey bar unwrapped in there. That's just how she like lived her life.
So they go to her for advice. Doesn't she just say like to have fun, or does she say, or is this when she says to work together?
Yeah. So she
They
like
both
gives them
can't
this
work.
advice of like what's supposed to happen will happen, and like you're gonna get in where you're supposed to be, and like stop stressing
Oh,
about the small things and stuff.
actually,
Right?
first they start working together, and then they win the qualifiers. This
Yeah,
is what happens. Then they go back to Kathy to tell her and show her the award, and then she tells them that wherever you get into for college or like whatever you do, it doesn't matter, just have fun. And
yeah.
then what happens? Bum, 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 with their college acceptance.
They don't get in.
Yeah.
They're both denied from Harvard and Yale. And isn't that when they both go to like talk to her about it, right?
Yes. And then the bah!
She's freaking dead.
Yeah, she's died in an accident. And their principal, let me tell you, he's like, oh yeah, she died. I'm sorry. She died in an accident last night. I'm going to go announce it to the school. In like this monotone voice, and that was the worst. Like I thought the acting mostly was pretty good in this movie.
Yes.
He was not. I was like, excuse
It
me,
was
sir, you have
Tom
some
Bergeron
emotion.
was the principal who I have seen in other things. And Helen Hunt is Kathy, who is very famous.
The guidance counselor.
Why did Kathy have to die? I laughed when this
I
happened.
was like, what?
I legit was laughing because they go to her office and she's not there. The door is locked, which never happens. Okay, it's never locked. They usually just walk in, and they always race to see who can get there first because they're always in there. I'm shocked she didn't like freaking kill them because they were bothering her so much. But there were so many different solutions to this to make her not where they needed to be. Okay, one,
Yeah.
she could have been pregnant this whole time and had her baby. Okay, yeah,
Surprise.
she's a little old, so they could have found someone else to do it. Whatever. Or two, maybe she was at the funeral of a different family member and it's out of state, so she is unattainable. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Or she went on a late honeymoon, like a 10-year anniversary
Yeah,
trip.
maybe she just got married and is on a cruise in the freaking Caribbean doing her own thing. She did not have to die. I understand, okay, in most movies, people who have taken screenwriting classes know what the Save the Cat beat sheet is. It's this like Blake Snyder has created this thing of like the 15 beats of every movie. And near the end, in Act 2, I believe, at the end of Act 2, there's this thing called All Is Lost, and there's usually a whiff of death. So either your dreams die, someone dies, someone almost dies, whatever it is. And I kind of feel like this writer was like going through the beats and was like, oh my gosh, how funny that Kathy is not going to be available at the same time of the All Is Lost. I'm going to kill her. It was not earned. Can I just say this movie did not build up enough trust for me to be like, yes, she died at the most important moment of these kids' lives that they needed her.
And then they go to her funeral, which is at her house, which I find weird.
Yeah, I was like, is this normal?
Yeah, because Lona and Bennett are walking around her office. The only reason I think that she had to die is because then the way that these two start to bond is because Bennett brings up, Lona's dad's death that happened when they were 6, and that was the only other funeral he had gone to was Lona's dad's funeral.
Yeah, it was like his first one.
Yeah, and Lona said that that was her first funeral too, and that was like all they touched on it. They didn't say how he died or anything like that, and they are out on some bridge eating fries and a milkshake. Or did they? Yeah, they get
Yeah,
milkshake
they
and
left.
fries and talk about not doing high school right. That's what I have written down.
Yeah, they were like, did you ever go to a football game? Did you ever go to a party or a dance or anything? Well, I didn't. Like, that's what high school's supposed to be like. And it's like, yeah, that's true. You definitely did not enjoy high school like you were supposed to. Like, you still have some time. Like, and also college is way more fun for most people. Like, if you really struggled in high school, you have a chance in college if you're going to college to figure that out and fix it.
Right. And
Not the end of the world.
right, but then they decide after this funeral that they're gonna quit debate, right? For like a hot second, and then all of
Yeah,
a
did
sudden they
they?
decide that they're still gonna compete together. Yeah, they decided because they didn't get in their dream schools, and then their guidance counselor dies, and then they gave up on their dreams, and their speech teacher person was like all mad, and he's like, "Oh, so you guys are just gonna give up now? Is that what you're gonna
Oh,
do?"
yeah.
And then they were like, "Okay, fine, we'll still compete together." So then they study a lot, and then they're going to each other's houses, and then Bennett likes Lona's mom's cookies, and then finally Julia, who is Bennett's mom, asks Amy for the cookie recipe. So those two are kind of like building a bridge on their friendship. I don't remember when in the movie she admits it, but Lona's mom, Amy, admits that she votes for Bennett's mom, Julia, in the elections to be senator. She's like, I don't like her, but I love her policies or something. I
She
don't
gets the
remember what
work
she said.
done.
Okay, so then stuff is going well, and Bennett and Lona kiss.
We all saw it coming. We knew it was going to happen from day, like, second one when she's like, look at that stupid face, he's sex. You know, at the beginning.
So, like, I wrote it down, but it was so not memorable that I can't remember where it happened. But then they have the state debate, and they lose to Dana and Jasmine.
Yep. This movie happens in a different way than in my head it happened.
But are fine with it. They're fine with Dana and Jasmine winning because
yeah,
you know, they just decided they were fine with that.
Yeah.
And after that, that's when prom is happening. And so they go to prom together, in quotes, that's in quotes, because what they really do is they go to a movie, but they are all dressed up
to the nines in their tuxes and their prom dresses. They're like, we miss the old days when people dressed up to go to the movies.
Yeah, but it's really because they just are telling their parents they're going to prom, but they went to a movie instead. And then they literally bought every type of candy you could buy. What happens next is Lona gets into Yale and Bennett gets into Harvard. So,
yeah, the opposite schools.
Yeah, and they like switch boxes, you know, like breakup boxes when people get rid of all the stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it's like they did that with their schools and then gave it to their partner. And so then they each get each other's like old school hats and stuffed animals, whatever else they had.
Yeah, the pendants and sweatshirts and whatever the frick they were buying before they even got into the school.
And then they're back at a movie, right? Because the last thing that happens I have written down is same speech as beginning by Lona, only nice this time, and she admits she likes Bennett.
So that's the whole movie.
Yeah.
I have some issues with the main characters.
Okay, let's hear
So,
them.
first things first, Lona is like the most unlikable protagonist I've ever seen in a movie. Name one nice trait that she has. One good trait.
I really truly can't.
Okay. Isn't that... And she's supposed to be the good family. And so I was looking up this movie yesterday. Like, I was just looking up some research on it. The writer is that actress's brother. The writer of the movie is her brother. Okay?
Okay.
And he was seeing the types of roles that she was getting offered for and being told to apply for, or audition for, sorry. And he just like was like, no, I don't like that. I'm going to write the most perfect role for my sister. She's going to be the lead of this movie. She's going to be smart. She's going to be dependent of any relationship, or independent of any relationships. You know, they're not going to define her, like blah, blah, blah. Apparently, he just forgot to make her likable along those lines. Whereas Bennett is very redeemable, and he's supposed to be the bad family. Why? Because they're rich?
I liked him.
Like, I didn't know what was supposed to make me dislike them. Like, is it just inherently bad to be rich or something? Like,
right.
Also, children don't care that much about who their parents hate to hate their children. Bennett's mom adopted Bennett. That is kind of like a good trait in my mind. And she is very rich, and she's a Senator Short. And she spoke at this event, okay, because she has a foundation that donates money to debate tournaments, I'm guessing. And the event asked her to speak.
To students so they can go to college.
Yes, that's what it was. Yes, they donate money to underprivileged children to be able to afford to go to college. You're right. And the debate tournament asked her to speak at this event. And the other mom, Amy, is just like, she's just going to be taking the spotlight. It's like they asked her to speak. Right. She didn't just do it because
she's a senator.
Yeah, like, honestly, sorry, but I would probably ask her to speak too, because she's probably helping fund at least one or two of these kids' college careers, you know what I mean, after this. It was just so frustrating to be like, oh yeah, Lona's family's the good family because they're poor and, like, she has to work harder to get where she's at. It's like, that is not the same thing. So that was the frustrating thing, is that her own brother wrote her unlikable, and I was like, all right.
And I wonder if, was this his first writing project?
I have no idea. I did not look him up after that in terms of that.
Because maybe that had something to do with the type of writing this was.
Definitely.
I'm not going to say it was like piss poor writing, but no. I definitely have seen better writing.
Yeah, and it was better than a lot of Netflix movies I've seen. Anyway, Bennett is such a more likable character. And yes, this was a dual protagonist situation where both of them were the leads, which is good, thank goodness. But Bennett is just so much more likable. He shakes his opponent's hands in the debate tournaments and is like, good luck, you know what I mean? Even though he knows he's going to crush them. He offers his coat to Lona at the movie theater. Like, he's just...
And give her a ride home.
Yeah, he is just inherently a nice person. Even though he grew up with this horrible woman, Julia, who isn't horrible at all.
She's nice. Honestly, Amy was like really petty in my mind.
Yeah.
I'm like, who are you? You're stuck in high school or
yeah, she's still that cheerleader that is just like.
And not all cheerleaders are mean.
No.
Or like that at all. But
he really went into the stereotype.
Like the stereotypical mean cheerleader vibe happening.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe for her, because she's so uncomfortable in who she is or something.
That could be it, and she's just trying to, like, project it onto other people.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not saying it's a bad movie and that you shouldn't watch it, but there are better movies that you could watch. Maybe not about debate, but even if you want a movie about debate, this is not about debate because it's not correct.
And you can't understand it.
But for some reason in the movie, they all of a sudden have a ton of people in debate.
Yeah, it's like at the end, those dumb twins were back, and there was a bunch of people in the debate room. And as far as acting goes, like I said previously, I didn't really have a problem with any of the actors except for the principal. I did not think that he did a good job. And I think with the writing they were working with, I think they did good acting.
They didn't make the writing seem stupid. It wasn't the actors who... Like, they acted it very well and made it seem like it was a good script based on how they were acting. They were very talented. I wouldn't watch it again.
Same.
But it was pretty good quality, and it was actually shot in, like, Atlanta. Oh, real quick. When the twins were brought in at the very beginning, so remember they're having that, so real quick, they had that fight at the beginning, of like, okay, well, who normally votes for president? And they're saying the members of the club vote for president, but we're the only two members. And we obviously each would vote for ourselves. Well, then, like, almost the very next shot after all of that, because they decide, okay, you're going to be co-presidents, whatever. The very next shot is, like, there's these two new guys, they're twins, in debate. I thought that they were brought in, my first impression was that Lona brought them in to vote for her to be president, which would have been much funnier. That would have been a really funny moment, I think, of like, well, I'm president now because we have these two new members on the team, and they're like the same person.
Right, you can't debate that. Well, all in all, I would say it's an interesting movie. If you don't have anything else to watch, I would say watch it.
Yeah, if you've watched absolutely everything else on Netflix that existed.
Right, well, I think that wraps up this week's podcast on the movie The Candy Jar. If you have watched it, let us know your thoughts below. Or if we've convinced you to watch it somehow, let us know with our thrilling description of a wasted time. But honestly, I don't think it's that big of a waste of time.
I will say also, we're pretty rough on it, but I think it's just easier to pick out all the negatives of a movie. Or, like, it's a very mediocre movie. It's so in the middle.
Yeah.
But there are just, like, things that stuck out to us that we were like, we need to just hound on this. But it really wasn't.
It was the shouting for me. I couldn't get past that.
Like, right now, as a, like, grad student in dramatic writing, like writing for movies and stuff, I don't know if I could write anything significantly better than this. But we hope you had fun listening to this. We had fun talking about it. This was my most fun movie to talk about, I think. I had the most fun.
Also, if you leave us a review, that helps out our podcast. I think that's everything for today. So my name is Hannah.
And I'm Rachel.
And this is the You Talking to Me podcast. Goodbye.
Please leave.